Sirens. Written by Dragonrok007. Twitter handle @thiefofhearts. Jim was enjoying a cup of coffee one evening by a campfire at his favorite site down by the lake. When he saw a dark figure moving by the water, he called out as he stood to investigate. "Hello? Is there someone there?" But there was no reply. Continuing to walk, he saw something move behind a bush. He saw a woman peering out and asked, "Are you okay?" She stepped out into view. Jim's eyes now acclimated to the dark. He could see her in the moonlight. She was beautiful, with jet black hair and a perfect figure that clinged to her soaking wet smock. "Do you want to dry out by the fire?" Jim asked. She grabbed the bottom of her smock and, in one motion, pulled it over her hips and body and hung it on the branches of the bush. She moved closer to Jim and pressed her lips full onto his in a passionate kiss. What is your name?" he asked. "Leela," she replied in broken English. As they fell to the ground and made love by the edge of the lake, she was like no woman he had ever been with. She moved like a belly dancer in full motion. She wrapped her arms around his back and her legs around his waist. Jim was having trouble breathing and fought to break free. But oddly, Leela was much stronger than he was. Jim tried to scream, but had no breath left in his body. Leela put her lips to his ear and whispered, "This will be over soon. You are mine now." She held both of their bodies together as they rolled off the bank and into the lake. They both sank to the bottom, Jim's eyes wide open, screaming with terror, as the last sound he heard was his own ribcage and bones being crushed by Leela's deadly embrace. She grabbed his lifeless body and swam to the middle of the lake. There was a large tree stump with a protruding branch. She placed Jim's body against the branch and pushed it through his back. His blood churned in the water. She turned and let out a shriek that echoed through the lake. Within seconds, bubbles moved towards her, and 20 more like her appeared. "This working curtains. Those of you that are weakest should share the heart. El tope carne six. Bon appetit, my children." Thank you so much for listening to my reading of the horror poem, Sirens, written by Dragonrok007, Twitter handle @thiefofhearts. When I think of horror poems, or horror poetry, I think of Poe. That's the first thing that comes to mind. And I didn't know that people still wrote horror-themed poetry. So when I came across this one, Sirens, I was just like, wow, this is really freaking cool. I wanted to share it immediately. How did I run into you, Dragonrock? You listened to one of my narrations on one of my other YouTube channels, Writer's Lift YT, and you were like, read my poetry. And I'm so glad I did, because you have so much amazing poetry. Unfortunately, a lot of it isn't horror. He writes poetry that is like so heartfelt and just like kicks you right in the freaking chest. And a lot of it is going to be narrated on my other YouTube channel because it fits better there, obviously. Although love can be extremely scary. But yeah, so if you want to hear more poetry from Dragonrok007, you can find it there on my other YouTube channel, Writer's Lift YT. Alright. Well, if you enjoyed the narration, please leave me a like. If you're new to this channel and you enjoyed the narration, there's plenty more to come. So hit the subscribe and the notification bell, and you won't miss a single one. All right, you guys, well, y'all have a great weekend. I will see y'all soon.